I only pay when I'm alone.
Oh, you shouldn't be so shy. No one's going to compare you with a professional.
But I am a professional.
Oh,
I made my debut in Town Hall a week before the war. Jeffrey Meredith, you see.
why, it says you were brilliant. Oh, forgive me, Jeffrey. I should have known.
I was going to appear with the Philharmonic. I didn't, but I have a contract to prove that I might have.
But you never played. Oh, please go on, Jeff. I would like to hear you.
No, I don't like to be stared at.
I'll look the other way and listen, Jeffrey.
I'm not ready to face people yet. Please don't insist.
Well, I wouldn't dream of it.
Thank you. Can you keep a secret?
For about 10 minutes.
Dr. Emmett isn't a doctor at all.
Then what is she?
A patient, just like Mrs. Patty.
Oh, you think so?
For 5 years now, she has promised to give me a new face.
No, she's a doctor, Jeff. It says so on her office door. She wouldn't lie.
Do you believe a man is what he claims to be?
Well, I'm a trusting soul. I try to believe the best of people.
It's best to believe the worst. If you believe the worst, then the worst is only half bad at best, and the best is no worse than expected, so it's best to believe the worst.
You know what, Jeff? That's just obscure enough to be profound. But what does it mean?
It's simple. If a man says he's wise, you say he's a fool. But if a man says he's a fool, you believe him.
Well, only a fool claims to be wise.
Exactly! Which proves I'm right. Dr. Emmett is a fool. She claims she's a doctor. The war was over 5 years ago, and where's her miracle?
Some things take a long time to heal, Jeffrey.
I can't wait much longer. I'm getting old. I'll be 26 soon.
That's ancient. But why don't you go ahead and play anyhow? Don't condemn your audience before you give them a chance to be kind.
Look at me and tell me that an audience wouldn't shudder at the sight of me. Look! Did you see?
I see nothing to hide, Jeffrey.
Dr. Emmett told you what to say.
No, he didn't, I promise. But I would believe her if I were you. Just give her a little more time.
All right. I'll give her 5 years more.
Fair enough.
Do you know something?
Nothing. I'm only awed by the magnitude of what I don't know.
I wouldn't tell this to anyone else. Hannibal really can't play the violin.
No.
Yes.
Well, of course, I'm tone deaf.
I'll tell you something else. I sometimes wish I were.
Well, you're a sweet boy,
Don't you think that's funny?
Not very.
There's a rat in the hall! A rat as big as a mouse! Climb up on a chair quickly, Mrs. Savage!
Hurry, what am I going to do with you?
You put me right off my coffee.
You know there's no rat in the hall.
But Mrs. Savage doesn't. She's bored here, and I intend to make life exciting for her.
Well, thank you, Fairy. You'll be happy to know I just aged 50 years. That puts me well over the 100 mark.
Oh, then we must have a birthday party! I'll make candles!
You'll sit down quietly and drink your coffee.
Oh, I've eaten too much again.
You know, you really shouldn't exercise after a meal, Hannibal.
I know, but if I don't, my conscience won't needle me.
Are you sure there haven't been any messages for me today?
Positive.
Well, would it be too much trouble to send to the village for tonight's newspaper?
If you'll serve the coffee, I'll ask Dr. Emmett.
Gladly.
Here you are, Bingo.
Lawrence hasn't been served.
Don't stand on manners, Jeff. Miss Willie knows how you like your coffee. I'll get my own.
Very well. Thank you.
You're annoyed.
You single me out for attention, Miss Willie. It's unfair and it makes me uncomfortable.
Jeff, I'm so tired tonight. I forgot.
Of course. I forget too.
Forgive me?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the best dressed of them all? Fairy who?
Would you like cream in your coffee, Hannah? For Fairy?
Please. Do you think this dress does anything for me? I made it myself.
It's a sheer delight, Fairy. Sugar too?
5. I had to put it together with pins because I didn't have enough time to finish it. Oh.
Here you are. Hannah, would you like to know a more enjoyable way of exercising?
An enjoyable way of losing weight has yet to be invented.
Well, I know the solution. All you need is a deck of cards.
I went to a fortune teller once when I was 14, but everything he told me turned out wrong. I never believed in cards after that.
You throw them up in the air.
Why?
Well, to lose weight, of course. Now what you do is bend over and pick them up one by one.
I like that! It's tiny!
I learned it in a beauty course.
Thank you, Mrs. Savage. It's a great improvement.
But wouldn't it be easier to pick them up sideways?
Much. Man was made all wrong. Why should his stomach be in front when it only gets in the way when he bends over? And why shouldn't his knees fold nicely behind him when they only buckle when he kneels? And why should his nose be in front, for it only gets in the way when he kisses?
Oh, you're so right, Hannibal.
I guess God was in a hurry.
Well, Hannibal, why coffee up with you.
Oh, how I do hate having coffee upstairs. It's so middle class. Have you seen John Thomas?
I think you left them on the phonograph, Florence.
Oh, yes. He does adore the classics.
Upstairs, downstairs, till I think I'll scream. May I stay, Dr. Emmett? No, you may not.
Miss Willie tells me you seem anxious to see tonight's papers. Why?
Habit.
Well, it will undoubtedly please you to know you've caused a considerable amount of trouble again.
Have I? Oh, Titus, on the front page. Senator trapped in White House hothouse.
I've just been on the phone with him. He's exceedingly angry.
Imagine pulling up all of those petunias. What will everyone think?
As a result of this, your position here has deteriorated considerably.
But my disposition has blossomed enormously. Anything about Samuel?
Oh, yes. Here's the Boston Post.
Dear, oh dear, poor Samuel. Chimney collapses on Boston jurist. But for some people, it takes a ton of bricks, you know?
How could they have possibly believed you?
They should be committed. Shouldn't they? Nothing about Lily Bell?
Your batting average for mischief, Mrs. Savage, is 100%.
My word! This is a horrible picture of Lily Bell. This would horrify even Fairy.
According to this, she resisted arrest.
So I see. Female vandal invades museum. Berserk heiress bites police? Now they really are fools. Aren't they, Doctor?
What do you hope to gain, Mrs. Savage?
Better terms.
For your freedom?
For my husband's memorial fund.
Your children believe that money can be put to better use.
Well, of course. Their own. Lily Bell spent her million on her 6 divorces. Titus and Samuel to secure jobs, to which they had no right. Is that better use?
They believe your memorial fund is most unorthodox, Mrs. Savage.
And that is absurd. There are hundreds of charities for foolish people in desperate need. But there aren't enough charities for people with the desperate need to be foolish.
What brought you to that conclusion?
My own life. No matter what we have, we never forget the foolish things we always wanted. Now I'm sure if Hannibal got the violin when he wanted one, he wouldn't need one now.
That's quite possible.
I want my husband to be remembered with warmth and gratitude for a few foolish dreams that came true. And I will not give up my memorial to him.
I would like to discuss this with you further, Mrs. Savage, but at the moment, you have some visitors waiting. You may come in now, Senator. I'll just be outside. If you want me.
Now, we really aren't a bright family, are we?
Oh, you must be proud indeed to hear the name of Savage held up in ridicule again.
Did you dig, Titus?
8 FBI men jumped me, pushed my face into the dirt, thought I was planting a bomb.
Why didn't you tell the newspapers the truth? I did. Sleepwalking? Really, Titus?
You try to think of an excuse with 8 men on your chest.
She brought the chance.
I was learned today that the senator's mother, Mrs. Ethel P. Savage, the actress, was recently committed for irresponsible actions. Democratic leaders were quick to point out that this might explain the career of strange behavior in Congress by the senator. Do you realize what this does to me politically?
Makes you a mort canard. Dead duck. French. Remember?
I'll never survive it. Never!
They treated me like a common criminal. I was fingerprinted.
Oh, I meant to ask you, Lilybell, what was in that big porpoise?
What happened to those bombs?
What happened to your dignity?
Where is my money?
Where is your self-respect?
May I ask what you intend to do now?
Are you willing to listen to my terms? Or would you care to dig in Grant's tomb?
We are prepared to compromise.
Meaning, if you'll see things my way, then compromise is the right word.
I would consider effecting your release in the custody of someone for a period of time. It would look better for us.
And I'd be willing to give her complete freedom if she gave up acting and led a dignified life.
Freedom, as Titus can tell you, is the right to make the wrong choice.
Now, what would we get?
That's what I like about you, Titus. No nonsense. You each will receive a reasonable yearly allowance.
How reasonable?
I shall be generous, but the bulk of the estate must be given away by your father's memorial fund.
It's completely mad.
We might have the commitment revoked only to have you play another trick on us. Where would we be then?
Where are you now?
Get it over with, Titus.
Very well. Write a retraction, Samuel.
Tired of having my decisions reversed.
When I'm released, I'll keep my promise. But I warn you, don't have me followed.
Samuel, wait a minute.
What is it?
I found the answer on the cover of this medical journal.
What are you talking about?
A way to avoid the compromise. But I have to talk to Dr. Emmett first.
Lilybell?
Are you going to sign the compromise, Lilybell?
Titus, don't you sign anything until I get back.
Lilybell? What could she have read?
God knows.
Something to trick you. But if you listen to her again, you'll wind up without a cent.
What'll I do?
Finish it. Lilybell has gotten us into trouble enough.
How many T's in commitment?
3.
2.
Just doesn't look right.
Give me that. Give me your pen.
Give it back.
All it needs to say is that the commitment was ill-advised and request release. Will that satisfy you?
It will. When you sign it.
Sign it, Samuel.
What are you doing?
Sign it, Lilybell.
It isn't necessary.
You'll regret this!
Lilybell, you have no right to act without consulting us.
Oh, do be quiet. Read that.
Read what?
The article on sodium pentothal. It's... Perhaps I'd better let Dr. Emmett explain. Dr. Emmett, will you tell him what sodium pentothal does?
It's generally used in cases of shock. It removes tension, relieves the patient's inhibitions, and makes them receptive to suggestion.
It's called the truth drug.
That's not quite accurate, however.
But under its influences, patients tend to answer truthfully.
If they answer at all.
Now, do you understand?
Did you want me, Doctor?
Yes, just a moment.
Dr. Emmett, get some of this drug at once and administer it to my mother.
Haven't I any rights at all, Doctor?
May I say something, Doctor? Surely you're not going to listen to these people. It's a flagrant misuse of science.
Doctor, I order you to give this drug to my mother at once.
Mrs. Savage, if I refuse, your guardians are quite within their legal right to remove you from my authority. I am confident you'll find the means of subjecting you to the influence of sodium pentothal elsewhere.
Let it be someone else's responsibility, Doctor.
$10 million hidden from use does no one any good. Least of all you. It remains an ever-present symptom of psychotic thinking. This is your chance to show that you can make a rational decision. An intelligent mind recognizes defeat.
Well, let it be known, I was not brought to my knees by science. I'll tell you where the bonds are.
Wait! We've come to the rescue! There's still time!
We'll stand by you, Miss Savage.
Shame on you! And you! And you!
Dr. Emmett, who are these people?
These are my friends!
Weren't you asked to stay upstairs, Hannibal?
I want to protest, Doctor.
Who gives you the right to protest, sir? This doesn't concern you.
I love you all for wanting to help, but it appears Dr. Emmett doesn't have a choice, as you must have heard.
Then, what will you do, Mrs. Savage?
Give them the bonds. I think you've made the right decision, Mrs. Savage.
So are you going to tell us or not?
I'm going to show you. We're going to show you.
Oh, you heard it!
Here's your treasure.
Oh my God! She has had them with her the whole time! No!
Who turned those lights off?
One of our patients. Oh, Mrs. Patty!
did you do with them?
I put them on the coffee table. You saw me do it yourself.
Then where are they?
Excuse me, Senator. I'd say that Mrs. Patty ran in, turned the lights off, took the bonds, and ran.
Miss Willie, get Mrs. Patty. Notify